Hi friends, Wizzy here, welcome to a new Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we'll talk about gear sets, but I want to talk about them in a different way. What gear sets to keep, what gear sets fits with champions and all of that stuff. How differently do I want to talk about this? Instead of just going through the dungeons and going through the list of the gear sets and just telling you this one is good, this one is bad and all of that, I want to check with you the champion builds that I have, which gear sets I have on which champions, and tell you about the alternatives and whether this can work early game, late game or whatever. We won't be talking about specific champ builds or stats that you need, but just going through the sets specifically. And after this we'll just quickly check like the list and the dungeons to make sure we didn't skip anything. I'll try to make it as simple as possible to help you decide what to keep and what to sell while your account is growing into the game. Before we start talking about gear sets, I just want to take 1 minute to talk about something else. Intentionally, I didn't want to create a separate video on this, just so I don't want to create drama. Drama gets views and I'm not aiming at any views out of this. I just want to apologize to Faithless, Godforge, and the team, because like in my last videos I created about the game that's still in development, maybe I was a little bit too harsh. Not whatever I said in the video, but specifically about like the title and the thumbnail. While trying to get the channel to grow, we try to exaggerate or like basically to make people click into the video. If the topic is aimed at other people or entities, even Raid, we should be, well, I should be considerate of like that this is somebody's project that they are working on. Yes, we have the right to criticize, but yeah, just be aware that it's somebody else's work that we're criticizing. So an apology is due and a reminder for me not to make that whole content creation thing take me in a direction I don't want to go. Let's talk about gear sets now. So as I said, let's check my champions. So for example, this is my Lady Mikagi. Again, I'm not talking builds, I'm just talking about gear sets. What do I have on her? I have speed and perception. Perception and speed remains like very flexible two-piece sets that you can put on anyone to complement their stats. Perception gives you accuracy and speed, while speed gives you speed, okay? So these are two sets that will remain with you from the start, because as soon as the forge opens, they give you some material to craft some perception, and then you get some from the free login champions and all of that, and speed you can get from day one from farming the dragon and all of that. These two sets will remain, I'll get to accessories separately, these two sets will remain early to end game relevant to you. So whenever you're having pieces from perception or speed with good substats, those are a keeper. Which rules of substats are we following? That's a topic for a different video, but if you want to know what to keep and what to sell specifically related to substats, I recommend two channels. So Lil Gaming has some great sell videos on this, and MTG Jedi got at least 3 awesome videos. Just let the video run, click with him on what gear to sell and everything, and just sell it. Don't think about it, just do it, jump into it. So yeah, just a recommendation, but maybe I'll create a separate video on this. We're just talking gear sets here. So perception and speed are great there. Next, let's check our UDK, for example. Of course, he's an old stone skin. Where can you get stone skin? From Hydra. And stone skin remains one of the most important sets, not only for PvP, because putting a champion in stone skin, like Seer for example for that Odin dungeon, it can protect you from getting debuffed or getting your turn meter decreased. So stone skin also is one of the top tier sets, and because of its rarity, you can get it only from Hydra. And early on, if you get pieces from events or from anywhere else, or even from normal Hydra, you won't be getting many pieces of stone skin. So you should keep as many as you want, even if the substats are not optimal, because of how stone skin works. It works regardless of the substats, depending, like the stone skin piece bonuses here, and it's a 9-piece set, it just works, depending on whether you have 1, 2, 3, and so on. So you should be a little bit like strict on what to sell from Stone Skin. Again, a gear set, probably you won't have it early game, but all the way to end game it makes sense. My Lydia is built for perception and protection. Protection is a good gear set, again, all the way to, you will not have it, you'll get it only from Forge passes, even the free version of it. And it is a good gear set for your support champions, for your revivers. It gives a protected shield that cannot be stolen, and of course it heals the champion wearing it every time they take a turn. So again, a great set for support champions and revivers. Very relevant, very good all the way to endgame. Okay, this is my Cronam and this is a fun one. So as you're growing towards endgame, this is not relevant early game. Regen and Immortal is good, and you'll get it from day one from clan boss whenever you start hitting clan boss. Regen is important. Regen just heals the champions when they take turns. So it's important for solo strategies for dungeons. It's important for champions like Cronam here that should be self-sustaining, even if it's not a solo strategy. And instead of having a strong healer or putting life steal on them, whenever they take a turn, they heal themselves. So if you're putting a champion in regen because either he's support or like in our solo builds here, you want him to solo a dungeon, you want this champion to be fast. Regen is important for many use cases. Keep as much of it as possible. It is farmed from Fire Knight, one of the harder dungeons to farm, at least till you figure out a team for it. So one of the sets just to also be strict on what to sell from it. Immortal, you'll get loads of pieces of Immortal because you'll be hitting clan boss every day, so keep only the good pieces from Immortal. Regen and Immortal, two of the great sets that will work with you all the way as well. Okay, now that's a fun build. This is my status build. Deflection, you can build it in the Forge. A very niche set. I don't recommend it unless like it can be part of broken pieces or whatever, but deflection, it just gives you a chance to deflect the debuffs back on the enemy. Very, very niche. This is a very niche build. This is a surprise build for live arena. Don't worry about it. Deflection is not a top tier set. Keep a couple of great pieces if you got like good rolls on them. Like for example, here this is a defense percent with crit rate and crit damage. This is an awesome piece for a defense-based nuker, and that's why I was keeping it. So if you have good broken pieces from deflection, keep them. Don't go specifically after that set. I will be skipping champions that we already talked about, the sets that they are wearing, because like I said, I don't want to talk about specific builds, I want to talk about the sets instead. Okay, Lethal. Lethal is the new Savage, so let's talk about Savage and Lethal. Lethal, you get it from farming Dark Fae from Doom Tower, and it's an excellent set for all types of damage dealers, whether it's an attack based, HP based, defense based, whatever. If it is someone who you want them to do damage, whether it's PvP or PvE, you want to put them in a lethal set if possible. Next best thing is Savage. Savage, you can farm it whenever you want from Fire Knight. Of course, Savage is the second best thing, but Lethal is the top tier set for damage dealers in the game right now, and you want to farm it as much as possible from Dark Fae. If we rank the bosses that you want to use your silver keys on to farm on Doom Tower hard, for me Dark Fae is the top one for Lethal. Top tier set, we will never outgrow Lethal for your damage dealers. Definitely a good set to keep quite a few pieces of. We talked about those sets, Okay, so here is my Fortress in Savage missing pieces. We already talked about Savage. What about crit damage? Crit damage, you get it from Fire Knight if I'm not mistaken, and it's a good complementary set. Probably early to mid game you'll use it, or on your secondary leftover champions, but as you grow into the game, you won't be using crit damage much. Because, for example, if I'm building a damage dealer here, I will replace crit damage with speed or perception to give me more speed, with the right substats of course. But early to mid game, and maybe just a little bit into late game, if you have good pieces with the right substats from crit damage, it's a 2-piece set, It can complement your damage dealers with savage or lethal. So crit damage is a mid-tier, I would say, set. Not top tier, but definitely usable. So whenever you have good pieces from Fire Knight, don't throw them away. They can definitely be used. This is my Ecclesia build, and Relentless is the be-all, do-all set. If you have good pieces from Relentless can only be gotten from winning like the first 2 or 3 spots in tournaments. So don't sell any Relentless pieces till you have enough of them. Relentless will fit on any type of champion. Support champions to get back to their support skills. Damage dealers to get back to their damage dealing skills. The buffers to get back to their debuffing skills. Relentless can fit on any champion, top tier set. You have to use it in the right setup though, because any setup, like if we talk about Clan Boss, Hydra, any dungeon speed tuned teams or Clan Boss, that you don't want the champions to go out of turn and lose a buff, like unkillable buff in Clan Boss for example, you should not use that Relentless set, unless the exception here, some of the Clan Boss speed tunes, it doesn't matter because the unkillable champion is applying unkillable at the end of every turn. So just check whether the Relentless fits within your team or not, but top tier set, one of the best sets in the game. Okay, my Venus is in leftover gear. So this is the Divine Speed set from that you'll get just from the weekly arena chest. It's okay, like it's like speed, so if it has great substats, keep it. If not, yeah, well, you cannot farm it anyway, so just keep the top pieces from there. It's a 2-piece set, works exactly like speed, so yeah, it is usable, it's good. Then immunity here. Immunity, like right now we have the new Odin pieces, I don't remember what they are called. They are sort of like immunity, the new, like the upgraded immunity pieces. So these ones are 4-piece set, just provides block debuffs for 2 turns. The value of them dropped considerably over time. So yeah, I just had some old pieces and this is left over. So no, immunity is not something to go after. Very niche in arena or other places. Again, if you have, you'll get immunity from Fire Knight, is it, if I remember correctly. So if you have great pieces, keep them. Don't go after the set. Don't like try to put them on purpose on anyone, because yeah, it's not a top tier set, not what you'll go after, I would say. We talked about protection. Okay, so I have a dedicated video, if you didn't see it, talking about Provoke and Hex sets, whatever they call them, cursed sets. So Provoke and Hex sets that you farm from Ice Golem, they were really bad before. Nobody was looking for them or farming them. But now, since they buffed them, they are very relevant in Hydra. Why does, and I'll talk about them both here, why does Hex and Provoke sets work? Because they allow you to put the stats on a champion that doesn't have the skill. Mighty Uku doesn't have Provoke in his kit, but by putting him in this specific set, I gave him the Provoke capabilities, a percentage with every turn he takes for AoE champions. Provoke and Hex sets are very useful for champions who have multiple AoEs in specific content like Hydra or even Arena. So good sets, niche sets I would say, like you don't want too many champions with these sets, but there are very specific champions. You'll have 4 or 5 champions that will fit into a build of this kind. So yes, look for good pieces from them. Especially pieces with like speed and accuracy, I would say. Now forget about Swift Fairy. This is an ancient build that I had my Duchess in and I never changed it. Swift Parry, though you can forge it from the forge now, is not relevant. It's power crypt basically. So yeah, no, don't look for Swift Parry and don't forge it. It's not worth it. Okay, probably I'll correct it while I'm editing the video. I said that the bolster sets are protection sets. That was bolster back then, so I'll correct it on the video here. This is actually protection. You get it from Hydra, good to protect your buffs. So it's good to put on champions that are putting buffs out there. Yeah, it's good. Not top tier, but useful for certain types of champions. So you'll keep the good pieces because you get them from Hydra and you don't get too many pieces of those anyways. Cruel sets from Clan Boss. remains also relevant because it's a two-piece set. It ignores damage, and it increases attack. So even like, I think Sheeny had a video on this. So even if it's not an attack-based damage dealer, still, Cruel will work for them. Because the ignore defense part is really good. Because it's a two-piece set, so it can also complement your lethal or savage build, like a crit damage, for example. So it's one of the good options there. Make sure to keep the good pieces from Cruel sets as your account grow. Okay, we got to another set that you can farm from the Forge based on materials that you'll get from Doom Tower, which is Affinity Breaker set. Affinity Breaker sets increases your chances of not like weak hitting on like a strong affinity and all of that. Niche set, it's good to have like one or two sets of them, like some really great pieces, but it's not a set that you'll specifically go after. Very niche set, have a few pieces of it, don't farm it specifically, don't forge it specifically. Yeah, people try to make it work, and it's good, for example, like Ninja on Sand Devil because he's the wrong affinity for 25. So very niche. Keep a few good pieces of it, but don't go after it specifically. Guardian set, another set that you farm from like Doom Tower Hard and then Forge at the Forge. Guardian set is good for your protecting champions, but just beware, you need to make them super tanky because they will be, it's like the Bulwark Mastery or a Light Protection. They will be absorbing damage from AoE that hits other champions. If you don't build a champion who you're building Guardian tanky enough, they are going to die too early in the battle. So yeah, a good set for your protector. It can fit for multiple places. You will get it from the Griffin in Doom Tower, and yeah, it's a good set to have some pieces on. Just use it in the right places. Not top tier, mid tier I would say, but still a good set to use when like the right time comes. Okay. One other niche set here is Toxic. You get Toxic from Dragon, I believe. We'll double check the dungeons quickly just to be sure. So Toxic is good because it allows you to put that small poison out there every time you're hitting an enemy. It's a flat stat, can complement a champion's damage. Like I put it on my Elva. I'm not using that clan boss team anymore, but it enhanced the damage over time. Just beware that those small poisons taking from the set, it can fill the debuff bar. So if you have a team and you want to apply like decreased defense and weaken or the big versions of poison there, these can fill the debuff bar and prevent you from landing this. Niche set, keep a few good pieces, don't keep too many of it. Shield set is the old bolster set. Bolster set is better than shield, but shield you can farm from Fire Knight, while bolster you'll get it only from the Forge Pass. So keep the good pieces from shield, definitely. It's good for the champions protecting the team. We even discovered something where shield works better than bolster in, because if you want, the protected shield from bolster cannot be extended, while the normal shield for 3 turns from shield can be extended. So that works for Wixwell teams basically. So shield is valuable, it became more valuable again. Keep the good pieces from it. You won't have many bolster, but you can farm as many shield pieces as you need. So yeah, keep the good pieces from shield. I would say top third set for your protectors, can help the teams in PvP and PvE in a lot of places. Okay. We're getting close to covering all of the important sets here, so that's a stun set. Stun sets are very valuable, you farm them from Fire Knight. Make sure you have a good amount of stun sets kept, because you'll need them on any fast champion doing AoEs. They will help you with faction wars, they will help you with secret rooms, they will help you control the waves. If you have a stun set fast enough with enough speed, and with the other substats that you need, for example, accuracy, if a champion needs accuracy, like Cell of the Drakes also works greatly in stun sets, you can put it on like several types of champions there. Stun sets is definitely a good one to keep quite a few pieces from. Okay, this is Oystered in Cursed or Hex set. We already talked about it when we talked about Provoke, so yeah, but we talked about it like I said. Okay, one other set that we didn't talk about, Reflex set. You farm it from Ice Golem. Reflex set is one of the top tier sets. It works very similarly to Relentless, except that you're not taking the extra turn, so it's got a chance to decrease the skill cooldown whenever you're taking a turn. Very useful on champions like Wixwell or whoever you want them to come back to their skills faster. A top tier set, keep the good pieces you'll get from Ice Golem from this one. Okay, Midrixar is still in a lifesteal set. I'm not using him anywhere. Probably this is an old build. So lifesteal is, I would say, the top set for you when you're starting the game with speed, till you can support the champions without lifesteal. But starting into the game, if you can put all your champions except the support ones in lifesteal, just do it. They will heal themselves when they are doing damage to the clan boss or anywhere. But lifesteal falls off as soon as you get to mid game. You won't use it anymore. So early on it's useful. Later in the game, just sell it. It's not that useful. For some very niche cases, you might still need it. But yeah, generally early to mid game lifesteal is useful. It then falls off. Okay, I cannot think of anything else, any other sets that I want to talk about. So let's do that quick go through that we plan to do here. So speed, crit rate, yeah, 2-piece set can complement like some champions that needs crit rate like Savage or Lethal, but it's not a seeked after set. You'll get some pieces, keep the really great ones, don't specifically farm it or keep too many of it. Same goes for crit damage. Accuracy, if you've seen my builds, we don't talk about it at all. Perception is better than accuracy mid to end game. So yeah, if you have some crazy good accuracy pieces with all the good substats and the right rolls, keep those. But yeah, don't keep too many accuracy pieces. It's really overpowered now. Lifesteal, we talked about it. Fury, Daze, no, they're just bad sets, straightforward. We talked about Cursed. Frost is bad, Frenzy is bad. They have the niche cases, but it's not the place here. If you're talking generally, no, they are not good. We talked about all of those. Destroy set got a niche case against the Scarab and Doom Tower. So till you figure out a different strategy for Scarab, like healing yourself with regen and applying poisons with you, Rost, or someone else, like for a long time, I might even have him still in that build. For a long time, my Verges was my Scarab champion, and I think I've created a video like long ago about this, my Verges build that works all the way to the top in Doom Tower hard. Yeah, he's still in a destroy set. So it got that single use. Have the champion, like if you have Verges and if you build him to beat a Scarab on Doom Tower hard and destroy, this is the only champion basically that you need in a destroy set. Come on. No, I don't want him in my... whatever. Okay. So, destroy set got the single use. We talked about stun and toxic and provoke, retaliation. Yeah, I got some uses. Retaliation and avenging, not that good specifically. Stalwart is really good. I didn't get lucky with any great stalwart pieces to build champions in it, but stalwart decreased the damage taken from AoEs. So in long battles, if you have some good builds in stalwart, it can be really great. It doesn't add anything specific other than damage mitigation, but still a good set. I would say it's like usable, but again, because it's a 4-piece set, so it's preventing you from building the champions in other sets, which get higher priority. That's why you won't see many builds in Stalwart, because I want the speed, I want the accuracy, I want like increased damage or whatever. Stalwart prevents me from doing this by being a 4-piece set, but still usable if you have a great set from it. We talked about reflex. Curing got some very niche usages for someone like Vogoth, but yeah, no, not specifically seeking after. Talked about cruel and immortal. Those are like Divine's offense is like attack. If you notice, I don't have even any attack pieces. So no, just a bad set. Attack and divine offense, just don't keep any of these unless it's a crazy good piece, and again it will be part of a broken set. You don't care about the set. Divine critical rate same as crit rate, divine speed same as speed. Talked about swift parry. Resilience add resistance. Does it add resistance or actually HP and defense? HP and defense, okay. Good complementary two-piece set for your support champions. Don't specifically go after it. Perception, we talked about it. Affinity breaker. Untouchable, I don't even remember what it does. Okay, immunity. This is like the upgraded version from an immunity set. Again, immunity is not meta. It's a 4-piece set, so no, just don't go for it. You'll put your champions in different builds than this. Lethal protection, stone skin. Now we're getting to the stuff you get from like CVC and stuff. Crit damage and speed. This is upgraded version of crit damage, so yes, good. Instinct, speed, and ignore defense. Again, good for damage dealers if you have good pieces. As you see, like I'm not familiar with these pieces. I don't like look for them in my builds because I don't have like proper number of pieces there. Defiant increase the defense and decreases the damage taken because it's a 2-piece set, so it's complementary for some builds. Impulse is like a 2-piece reflex, so good to complement reflex in certain situations. As you see, all of these are farmed from end game places in the game. So they are end game sets that you will use the good pieces when you get them from. Same with righteous, speed and resist, okay. Can fit for support champions, not a top tier set. They introduced it in Forge passes and it wasn't that good. Merciless is awesome. Merciless is really good when you have good pieces from it. Like, it adds so much. It's a 9-piece set. Supersonic is not that good. They try to make it good, but yeah, like nobody's talking about supersonic, so it adds like HP, speed, and resistance. It can fit into support champions if you have great pieces from it. Merciless is great. Slayer is great for damage dealers who does AoEs. And now Feral from Siege and Pinpoint from the newest like dungeon and event. These are good in their relevant cases here. Now let's go to the dungeons quickly just to check that we didn't miss anything. So Ice Golem, offense is bad, life is bad, defense is bad. Crit rate, we talked about it. Resistance, if you have a great piece. Like all of these like can be used if you have godlike pieces, but other than that, just delete everything you get from them. Yeah, Spider is Spider. We talked about all of these almost. Yeah, we did. And now last but not least, Fire Knight. So yeah, we talked about all these pieces as well. We didn't miss anything here. That's it for sets. I hope this one was helpful. Like and subscribe and I'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in today.